So welcome to the British summertime. It's July and it's chucking it down, of course, and a bit cold. But what better car to be driving than the one over my shoulder, the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Let's take a look at the outside of the car then. I think it's a great looking car. It's big, it's very big. This is Range Rover Sport size. Very pretty to look at, quite aggressive at the front. Air suspension, which we'll talk about more in a minute. Too much chrome maybe? Maybe for European tastes. Not sure about the back. Those lights look a little bit big to me, a bit clunky maybe. But nice. What I do like though is the remote boot. There's a theme, isn't there? Quite a big boot, not very deep, but lots of stuff. I mean, all my bags are in there, and camera gear. Fit no problem at all. There we go again. These are the wheels that come on this model, the Summit model. They're huge and chrome. Not sure about that either, but it looks nice. Just from the outside, it's a very pleasant looking car. The new halogen lights at the front with some LED features too. Very nice. I love the fact it says since 1941 on there. That looks great. It's a good looking car. I think we should look at the inside. Mostly because I'm getting absolutely soaked. So keyless entry. And it's a nice place to be. I'm just going to shut the door. So the instrument panel there is mostly TFT. The bit in the middle is very high quality graphic. Let's start up so you can see what it does. So that middle section with the speedo is all TFT. It's all digital. Looks great. Central display here is great. Now I would say, and you know it's a theme of mine in my videos about infotainment systems, I'm going to be bold here and say this is the best one that I've used
Please
yet.
proceed to the highlighted route.
And I always leave the Sat-Nav running, don't I? What a silly boy. But what a great time to show you if I can work out how to switch off the Sat-Nav. There we go. And it's quick, isn't it? You can tell that's much quicker than the Jaguar Land Rover units I've been using recently. Much nicer to look at than my Audi system from my 2014 Audi A6. And much easier, very intuitive. Some simple functions here. There we go. Between the screens, can you see that? So my heated and ventilated seats, and on this Summit model, vented seats are standard. So that's now blowing cold air up my back. And if it was a hot summer's day, that would be of great use, but as it isn't, it's not. But lots and lots of functions. So heated seats on here, full Sat-Nav, very easy to use. Phone settings, phone connection was so easy. And automatically download all my contacts into the car and music onto the hard drive. Very, very slick, very easy to use, DAB and so on. I've been through lots of these functions on here as well the last couple of days of playing with this car, and it's very intuitive. It's better than the one in the Range Rover I drove last year. I've got to say it really is. Now for the next model year, this gear lever is being swapped out for a more kind of standard back and forth. This is electronic, so it always returns to its normal settings, normal kind of middle position, whatever you do with the gear stick. That's okay, a bit confusing, and in bright sunlight you can't see if the indicator's lit up. You have to look at the dashboard to see whether you're in park reverse. I think that's a bit of a design flaw, but they are changing that for the next model year. Down here, because it's a 4x4, all the controls you need for different terrains, rock, mud, sand, snow, which by looks of today we might get, hill descent control, and this is to adjust the height settings of the air suspension, which is brilliant. And this is a great function. When you pull up to stop, put on the parking brake, the car sinks by a few centimetres to make it easy to get in and out of. I think that's a great idea and very, very useful. Now if you've seen other reviews recently, or perhaps even historically around Jeeps, people talk about the quality of the interiors, and in particular some of the plastics. I'm going to be controversial here and say they have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, it's not as good as a Range Rover in terms of quality, and some of these plastics aren't as good as you'd find in an Audi Q7, but they're still very good. Very good. I even like this sort of, it is fake wood. It's actually very nice. It feels great. It feels good to use. I like it a lot. Good quality here. Nice leather seats, acres of room in the back, and the rear seats are heated and they recline, so your back passengers there can lie down for a bit while you're driving along. Up here in the centre console, there's a button here to operate the tailgate, fully electric of course. I won't press it now because the back of the car will flood. And here we have the blind for the panoramic roof. Press the right one. There we go, fully electric. Very, very nice. And of course, sunroof as well, which I'll open briefly so I don't get drowned. But there you go. Full sunroof, goes back halfway into the passenger space at the back. Proper English summer's day. Absolutely throwing it down. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the interior. I think it's good quality. I'd be very happy to sit in this car all day. And you know what I'm going to say? Window switches, which in Jaguars and Land Rovers are horrible and scratchy, these are beautiful to use. This is Mercedes quality. Shouldn't obsess about window switches, right? No, so this is a Summit, and so it has some extra buttons over the Overland, which is the next model down. This is the radar cruise control, which I've never ever used before. I used it yesterday for several hours on the motorway on a Saturday afternoon, and it's great. It's a fantastic feature. You do a lot of motorway driving, it's a very useful function to have. And I'm going to come back to this TFT display here. It's lovely. It's very, very good. I like it a lot. All the usuals, I suppose. Voice activation of various things. Very nice to use. All the heating controls down here. Nice touch buttons here. Again, great quality. Really good quality, in fact. So, that's the outside and inside of the car. So far so good. I've driven this for 2 days. I've been very impressed with its quality, but let's drive it some more now on camera to share with you my opinions about how this car handles. So to the driving experience. We've seen the inside and outside. Let's show you what this car's like to drive. And before we set off, popular opinion out there in YouTube land for various reviewers is that this car is a bit wallowy and not as sharp in the corners as the Q7 and Range Rover Sport. I don't necessarily agree, and I'm going to show you why, but let's get going. Now, it's a foot operated parking brake. Haven't seen one of those for a long time. It's actually very easy to use. I'm going to set off on my lovely summer's day drive. The weather's horrendous. Who'd live in England, eh? Crunch bang, that was me driving over a curb. So here we have a 3 litre V6 turbo diesel. It's a Fiat sourced engine, Fiat obviously owning Chrysler, who own Jeep, and it's a very powerful engine. So 3 litre V6 turbos are all over the place in various vehicles. This chucks out 550 Newton meters of torque, which is enough for any vehicle. This is a very heavy car. This is Range Rover Sport weight. But it will chuck it up the road at 8.2 seconds to 60 and does it very well. And perhaps the 8.2 to 60 is not that great, but it's a heavy car. What is impressive is the mid-range shove. So those kind of normal overtaking manoeuvres you need to do. The gearbox has a sport setting, and when you select that and floor it at 30, this thing takes off. In fact, let's do it now. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Just realised I'm on a road with a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. But that, I don't know whether you could hear that, but that shifted. That really, really went for it. And proper shove in the back as you stick your boot down. That felt good. Now I'm also going to talk about the ride quality. So, having driven Q7s and Range Rover Sports, yeah, this is not quite as accomplished. It's not as dynamically sound as those cars, but this is still very good. So it's not like it's poor, It's just not as accomplished as some of those other vehicles. But then this isn't as expensive as those other vehicles too. So this is top of range Summit, this particular vehicle. And it's got every option you can think of known to man. I've mentioned some of them already in the review of the interior. But this has everything. Memory seats, radar cruise, electric windows, electric roof, panoramic sunroof, power tailgate, remote tailgate, and on and on and on. This car has every feature you could possibly want. Below the Summit is a model called Overland, or Overland if you want to pronounce it the way I think Americans do. And that has a few missing pieces over the Summit, so it doesn't have the radar cruise, but of course has normal cruise control and so on. And that comes in about £48,000, which sounds like a lot of money. And that is definitely in Volvo XC90 territory and Audi Q7. So as brand new comparisons, you think, I'm not sure about that. Where this car does make a lot of sense is a year old. And it only takes 20 seconds on Auto Trader to find out that once this car has moved from its first owner, becoming available for the next owner, it hacks off getting on for 20 grand in value. So you can find a year-old, maybe 16-month-old Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland for about 38 grand. I mean, that's a huge drop in the first year or so. Get to 18 months and, you know, we're taking another few grand off that as well. That then means you're comparing a car of this size, so Range Rover Sport size, Audi Q7 size, to prices for top-end Kia Sportage and Hyundai Tucsons and things like that. Some of which get into the 40s, which is amazing. So, what do I make of this thing? Well, we're going to get on the open road now. I was on a little kind of sidetrack. Okay, that's 60. So, and it feels fast as well. So you're high up. You've got a high up SUV driving position with a gutsy engine that can push you up the road at quite some pace. But listen, very quiet. I did a lot of driving on the M1 yesterday and it cruised along beautifully at all speeds, and using the radar cruise to adjust position between me and the car in front. Lovely, absolutely lovely. So yeah, it's got the power. Now I'm going around some bends here, and yes, you can feel a little bit of lean. I am shifting in my seat slightly. These seats do a bit more side bolstering in my opinion, but actually handling very well. The air suspension is doing its thing. It's adjusting the position of the car on the road in terms of its sprung weight very, very well. And this road's actually quite bumpy. If I was in the Porsche Cayman of the other week, then I'd be feeling it a lot for the suspension, that rock hard suspension, if you remember. This is a big SUV with air suspension and it's gliding over the bumps. Again, on the motorway yesterday, I drove for 3.5 hours. Got out the other end, I felt like I'd been sat in my armchair in my lounge at home. It's so comfortable. So driving wise, it's excellent, and comparing it to the Range Rover Sport that I drove for a week last year, it's not far off it. And the Range Rover Sport starts at 65k and has got a lot of the equipment in this car missing from that specification. So it's not as good as a Range Rover Sport, but it's still very, very good. But as I say, brand new, it's pitched against the XC90, particularly in this Summit spec, the highest specification. So would you buy one of these over a Volvo XC90 or an Audi Q7? I don't know whether you would. Those residuals are murderous after 12 months. But Jeep Finance know that, so they play with the APRs to make it still worthwhile buying a brand new one if you're going to buy using a PCP, for example. If you're paying cash for one, don't. Who can afford to drop 18k plus in 12 to 18 months? That would be madness. But as a used buy, it's great. I mean, they depreciate so much because their historical reputation for poor reliability and quality The later JD Power surveys and owner reviews on various websites speak of this thing glowingly. So now is the right time to buy one used, I think, because the past reputation means the price has dropped like a stone, but actually you get a very high quality car that should serve you very well. It's very, 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 very good point, I think, if I do say so myself. So I need to get it on the audio. I'm doing 60 miles an hour on a bumpy road. Can't hear much, can't feel much. So what do I think of this thing then? Well, we saw the interior quality is good. I'm really pleased with that. Compared to Jeeps of old, it's a phenomenal step up. It really is. What don't I like about it? Not much. The gear selector. I'm glad they're changing that. That's a good move, because that electronic thing, I'm not sure about that. Some of the interior trim is a bit, yeah, I'm not sure about. The centre panel that I showed you earlier on the interior look around, that kind of bronzy effect. I could do being piano black. Again, personal choice. It looks a bit tacky in this bronzy colour, I think. But the rest of the interior, I love it. Absolutely love it. It's such good quality for the price point. Again, bearing in mind that after 18 months you'll be getting one that's mid 30k. Perhaps even a bit less, depending on mileage. So I'm going to conclude already, I think, by saying that in my quest to find a bigger car for my family, so I can then buy a sporty number for me, this ticks a lot of boxes. I'm not sure the rest of my family will appreciate all the chrome that's all over this car in terms of styling, but dynamically this is brilliant. There's something about cars that start with J. I love Jaguars, now I'm loving Jeep. Yeah, and if you do need this car to do lots of off-roady stuff, it can do it. Jeep's reputation for off-road capability is second only to Land Rover. And having driven one of these over the assault course at the Farnborough Air Show, across all those seesaws and piles of logs and things, pulling off some horrible vertical inclines and vertical descents almost, it handles it very well, very well. So if you actually do need a car to drive around in the countryside in the snow and the mud in the winter, you don't have to buy a Land Rover or a Range Rover or any of the others. Get yourself one of these. Now, this particular model, this variant, has been around for 3 years already. So if you want to go 3 years old, you're in the 20Ks. So that model structure will start at the top rather. Summit's the fully loaded one. Overland is below that. You lose some of the bits and bobs, and the interior lining's not suede like this one is, but it's still very, very nice. I have driven an Overland as well. Below that now is Limited Plus, and that still has leather and all the bells and whistles. Again, not quite as many as Overland. It's a very linear model structure. And then below that now is Laredo, which is stripped out. There's not even leather. Nobody buys those in the UK. It accounts for 4% of Grand Cherokee sales here in the UK. Nobody wants a car like this without leather and whatever else. But of course it's cheaper. But again, I'll keep coming back to it. Used, it's a bargain. It's an absolute bargain. I'm very, very tempted. Well, hopefully that's enough. Clearly there's not a lot of point in showing you down the bonnet, flying around corners at 80 miles an hour, because if you're buying an SUV because you can go around corners really quickly, you're kind of missing the point. So I won't bother with any of those kinds of shots. I just wanted to share with you my thoughts, my initial thoughts on this car, and its exterior styling and interior quality, which is a huge leap over previous Jeeps. So if you're after an SUV, and a big one at that, this is a big car, stick it on your list, give it a drive, and see what you think. Then look at Auto Trader before you buy yourself a Q7 and see what you can get for your money. Okay, that'll do us for now, I think. So thank you for watching this review of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I've thoroughly enjoyed driving this for a couple of days. My thanks to Jeep for letting me borrow it. I can recommend it thoroughly. So give it a like below if you can, tick the little thumb symbol if you like my review, leave me some comments, let me know what you think. Are you amazed that I like a Jeep? Is your memory of Jeep poor quality, poor reliability, blah blah? Tell me what you think about them. Do you think I'm nuts to consider one? And as ever, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. My age-old plea. The more subscribers I get, the more cars I get to drive, which means I can share more of this fun with you as well. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you again very soon with yet another review on Fast and Car Curious.